You're welcome to the Policy Council. My name is Okoyemi Agbaje. This week we take a look around several issues from a lawyer's perspective. The pardon of former Governor DSP Alame Seha, the proposed amnesty for Boko Haram, the vexed issue of state police, and a variety of other issues. Enjoy the program. You're welcome back to the Policy Council. My guest today is a legal practitioner, a distinguished legal practitioner. He's been the chairman of the Lagos branch of the Nigerian Bar Association. He's a member of the National Executive Committee of the association as well. And he's a prosecutor with the Disciplinary Committee of the Body of Benchers. Chijioke Okoli, you're welcome to the Policy
Thank
Council.
you very much, Ayemi.
Let me ask you, this your role as a prosecutor in the bar, the Body of Benchers Disciplinary Committee. What does it entail? That means you have an insight into the type of offenses, the type of professional misdemeanors, the type of maybe breaches of the ethics of the profession. What are the prevailing things that you see on that?
Well, I'll start. Yes, I must say that. But talk about it, we must. Having said that, you have issues where people are playing, lawyers, not being particularly above board with their clients' money.
Okay.
I'll tell you, yes. So we've had issues where lawyer, they have engaged, sell property, collect rent, they do that, and they're not forthcoming with their account. Most times, over 90% of the cases that end up in the disciplinary committee, it's a difficult case. I'll give an example. I've had a number of cases say, no, I don't want to be the one who spoils this man's this. I understand that if he gets to the disciplinary committee, his name will be struck off the roll, just begging for me to come bring the money, or my mother's whatever. Of course, but in places like UK and the US, oh no. A lot of times I go to UK and ask about some people I know who are qualified here, but practicing that. A number of them will say, he has problem with the law society. If you fail to do your annual accounting that you must make to the law society, your name is going off the list.
Perhaps that's a reflection of the issues I'm about to ask you now. What's your view about this controversial pardon for the former governor of Bayelsa State?
In one or two
Alame
words,
Seha.
In one or two words, ill-advised. Particularly so. I say that without any equivocation. But there's nothing I would say here that has not been said. Like they say, it's not personal. I happen to know one or two colleagues who know Alame Seha at a personal level. They say he's such a wonderful guy. But it's not personal. So at the same point, his personal relationship with the president, as important as it is, shouldn't take preeminent position in matters of statecraft. Because look at it, it's not only the local situation, an international matter. And the Americans, even as at yesterday, or a couple of days ago, I was reading in the paper, one of the American diplomats reiterating the American position regarding the U.S. government's displeasure with that particular act. Yes, I agree. It's not as if we have to live our lives, looking at our shoulders what America thinks or what America does not think. But in this particular case, if you find that the American government is in sync, is in tandem with, perhaps I will fall back on anecdotal evidence, probably 98% of the public opinion. So you do that, and then again, the other point, which appears to have been lost to the president's minders and advisors, is that when you go and grant pardon to an Ala Messiah who has a huge criminal charge hanging over him in Britain and in the EU, unwittingly, you're poking your hands into the eyes of those people. So, I mean...
like you said, ill advice.
Yes, ill advice.
Let's take a short break. I'll take you to the next current controversial matter, the amnesty for Boko Haram. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. It's still the Policy Council. I'm still Okweyemi Agbaje, and my guest is still my friend Chijioke Okoli. Now, so Chijioke, let's talk about there's this raging controversy. The president went to Borno State and was asked about amnesty. Oh, it wasn't even asked. On his own will, he replied to the Sultan's call for amnesty. I said he couldn't give amnesty to ghosts. He seems to have reversed himself 2 weeks or so later, and there's now a strenuous effort going on, we hear, towards crafting a framework for a policy to provide amnesty for the terrorists of Boko Haram. What's your own view as a lawyer and as a Nigerian citizen on this?
We must be fair, not just be criticizing. The president is faced with a very
complex problem.
You know, I think it's Frederick Forsyth. You know, the thriller, the best-selling thriller, The Devil's Alternative, where the fictional American president said that which other option I choose, men are going to die. You know, so I would think that President Jonathan is in that sort of problem.
So one columnist called it Hobson's choice.
Yes. So in discussing this, it's easy to scoff at what appears to be a bungling you know, a scenario where we do not see sufficient leadership. Clearly, one would like to see a more effective leadership commitment in this matter. But the flip side is the extenuating circumstance that we have an issue, and in Nigeria, things are hardly black and white. Because against this contest, people are saying the last time the former First Lady, Turai, was, for me, not being particularly helpful. They want to box the president into a corner and said, oh, it's like my husband granted amnesty to your people. Why are you being reluctant? That's the problem in Nigeria. You know, you and I can say, hey, we can be logical and say, let's not be affected. But the vast majority of the people out there, you know, and this is still, unfortunately, a highly and overly ethnicized society. So, and I think this is a contest within which the president is negotiating his way. So, to that extent, before we...
And to be fair to him, virtually everybody from the north is saying, yes, give amnesty to these people.
Precisely. But if we move back from all these cobwebs and come back to the real issue, so to speak. Now, where in the world do you, except in Nigeria, do you sit down to negotiate with nihilistic murderers? You know, when you're revolutionary, you have some, you know, ennobling
objective,
so to speak. I'll give an example. The Palestinians who are fighting for a homeland, in principle, everybody is entitled to self-determination in his own homeland. We're not going into the details of some of the terrorism and the way the Israelis will interpret it, but you can see from context, you see where they're coming. Now, we sit down, what exactly is the goal, the strategic objective of Boko Haram? The list, except you can educate me, the news that came up yesterday reiterate that broad objective that total instituting a theocracy in Nigeria, at any rate northern Nigeria based on the Islamic faith.
I'm playing the devil's
Yes.
advocate. Yeah. What could be more ennobling than your faith and Allah?
I agree, but the point is that you also have to deal with the realities on the ground.
The context of a secular society.
A secular society, because let's leave the southern sword of Nigeria. Anybody who insists upon a theocracy in northern Nigeria, what are you going to do with over 20 million? I'm just saying this off the consecutively, of the indigenous northern Muslims, and then you're also dealing with other Nigerians who live there.
Indigenous northern Christians.
Christians rather, yes. Yeah, they are referred to as the minority because they are less than the Muslims, but that's a huge
number of people.
If you take them out, they are larger than more than half of the countries in West Africa, even the whole of Nigeria.
So let's take a short break, Chijioke, and continue this discussion. We'll be right back.
My name is Laide Awoyemi. I dey live for Lagos. You see as our new Lagos just defined the go. Good thing good though. To go market now, no hard at all. Just pay. Sit down inside BRT bus. Small time, you don't reach where they go. Hospital call, the full ground. And for me and my pikin where I just born, treatment now free. You look left, you look right. Them they build new roads, new hospitals, new schools, new things everywhere. Everywhere they shine, gone. We thank God though. But come on, I hear saying that this tax money where they pay, and then they use do all these good things. Me they pay my own tax too. Say they pay your own.
Pay your tax. It's your civic responsibility. It's your duty. It's the law.
You're welcome back. We're still on the Policy Council, and I still have Chijioke Okoli, legal practitioner, former Lagos branch chairman of the NBA. So Chijioke, you were saying in effect that legally, perhaps, you couldn't support the clamor for amnesty for Boko Haram.
No, legally and otherwise. And then you look at it, you're doing amnesty. What of the security agencies as institutions and individuals that make them up there at the front line? What do you do for them? They've been off, a lot of people have been orphaned just because of
the victims.
Yes, no, we're coming from that. Even the victims. You see, the victims, for example, very sad. But the wrong place at the wrong time that Boko Haram would choose to deal with.
Throw some bombs.
Yes, but the security agencies are like they don't have a choice. Theirs but to do and to die. Talking about the charge of the Light Brigade, the famous poem. So you send them to beehive of Boko Haram activities. That if they sit down before you even send them there, if they think about it realistically, that the chances of some of them coming back alive won't be much, but they go down nonetheless. So for me, even from the point of view of the integrity of the state, we can't be seen, or the Nigerian state, as it will appear now, is begging, ball in hand for Boko Haram, please come, let's talk, and they say no, you can go to hell. I mean, it doesn't look good for the government.
But let me speak on behalf of the other side of the argument. So we say no to Boko Haram, but like you mentioned, Tura Yar'Adua, Muhammadu Buhari, and anybody else says, but you gave amnesty to men who were also committing crimes against the state, who are also challenging the authority of the state, who are also challenging the sovereignty of the country. So how do you distinguish between the Niger Delta militants and Boko Haram?
The distinction is self-evident. The much I understand, the Niger Delta militants said we want total control of our resources. Okay, now you say, okay, but the Constitution allows 13%. But beyond that, we'll do more. NDDC and all the other ones, palliatives, okay. Now, if you say that everybody must be Muslim, that's the only thing that will satisfy me. Wait a minute. Faith. Some people can sacrifice their economics, but faith is something that without faith, you've gone. So when you do that, if you think the flip side of it, you have also a substantial Christian population in the north. I'm not even talking the other place. If this minority, but a very large minority, should decide to be very arrogant about their own faith and say, no, 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 I must save you. It is my job to make sure that all of you go to heaven through the pathway created by our Lord Jesus Christ, and start killing. In less than no time, nobody will remain in the whole of northern Nigeria. So it's absurd. So that's why the government, because what you have with the Boko Haram, as some people say, oh, it's Muslim. No, I mean, I've lived in the north. Some of my best friends are Muslims, not only Yoruba Muslim, but also Hausa Fulani Muslims.
Kanuri Muslims and so on.
In the main, there are peaceable people who also tell you that even in the Quran, that the Quran recognizes the Christians as people of the book. So the Boko Haram, I would choose or liken them to those on the lunatic fringe. But I would expect a lot more, a lot more impetus, more robust denunciation from the mainstream, that these people don't speak for me in any manner or shape. Yes, put them where they are, really, the lunatic fringe, but let us mark that fringe for what it is. Yes.
Okay, let's take a final time out, and we'll talk about other issues concerning the legal profession, concerning ethics and professionalism at the bar, and perhaps the issue of constitutional reform. We'll be right back.
Who knows Abi better thing? Abi who know like better thing? All these fine things where they see so. Now money government they take do now. Abi, I think it's like, I mean, excuse me, I dey pay my tax. I dey do it, I dey pay my tax. Say you don't pay your own tax. If you pay your tax, I pay oh.
Pay your tax. It's your civic responsibility. It's your duty. It's the law.
You're welcome back. I've been having a very interesting discussion with legal practitioner, former chairman of Lagos branch of the NBA, Chijioke Okoli. Chijioke, let's move away from Boko Haram and Alamisea and talk about the issue of state police. We have this unresolved argument. There are some states that continue to argue that perhaps the solution to a lot of the insecurity and the lawlessness virtually that is descending upon Nigeria, even perhaps has a role to play in this issue of Boko Haram and all of that, is the issue of state police. But then there's also very weighty counter-arguments that have been presented. And I think the issue is at some kind of stalemate. What are your own thoughts?
For me, there are some well-founded concerns about the state police. But for me, those concerns in the, given the larger picture, should not stop us from the objective of getting state police. For one, this is a federation. I think it's an absurd situation where you call a state governor the chief law officer of the state, and when the push comes to the shove, he has no power to control his police ADC.
His own ADC?
Yes. Because the commissioner of police sends that one. I'm not even talking about the IGP. Says, will you report back to the barracks the next day? And of course, he knows that if he does not do so, he does so at his own peril. He will leave the police force. So the major issue is abuse. But I tell them, is the present police not abused by the powers that be? You know, because we have very short memory. Now, in the eastern part of the country, the problem of grappling with is kidnap. But in the recent times, and I say it and I'm on record, the first time a kidnap took place, high-profile one, was a sitting governor being kidnapped by people with contacts in the federal government in Abuja. Oh, yes. So, you see, sometimes when we get into some high-level bad behavior, some subliminal message is being sent to the generality of the people, of the public. It may take 1 year or 2 years to internalize it. But ask me, before Governor Ngige was abducted, we didn't have any issue of kidnap or abduction in the southeast. So, and who did it? The federal government's friends. People who had control of the federal police. In fact, the abuse by the centralized police, because it's backed by the federal might,
and because there's no alternative to it,
is worse and more difficult to checkmate than that of, let's say, Osun State has its own police. There's an army,
of course,
that is controlled by the center. So there's only so much the governor of Osun or any other state who has a control. Yes. So you would have a whole lot of things.
And there will still be a federal police as well. Chijioke, let me throw this in very quickly. Apart from state police, are there other areas of constitutional reform that you would like to see?
Another area I feel fairly strongly about is the local government. We should banish local governments from the constitution. This is an aberration. Nigeria is the only place that's supposedly a three-tier federation. No, it is the federation and the states. Then the question of the local government should be left to the individual states.
Unit.
Yes, to do. For example, Lagos gets shortchanged. Lagos is entirely metropolitan. You find out that the local government as conceived by Nigeria under the Nigerian constitution does not favor Lagos. By the time when these local governments were created, what was the representation in the military that created them? I remembered that it took a Ghanaian Emi to file a suit in the Federal High Court, which ultimately was thrown out for lack of local standby when Abacha constituted his Armed Forces Ruling Council, and he said that no single person from the South is. He said, how can you write off an entire part of the country? Nigeria. So you decide, as you're sharing local government and all these places, no single Igbo man was in that place. So, and this arrangement you concocted when large swaths of the country did not have a say in what happened or what didn't happen. Then you create it and you say, no, it's cast in stone. Like Chinua Achebe said, we must find out where the rain started to beat us. So part of it is that this local government arrangement has to go. Then all the money that goes to the federal government, local government should go back to the states. Then the states can share it according to the formula used for the states. Then the states who want to do local government,
in whatever manner
they want to do it. One, if you want to create, dissipate all your money by creating a 1,000 local government, collect it, that's your own business. Yes.
Chijioke, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Yemi, for having me.
We'll be right back. There are 3 points I take away from my discussions with my guests today. One, and that's uncontroversial, the pardon for Alame Seya and for Bulama and the other major were ill-advised, very poorly considered. Secondly, religion and ethnicity complicates national decision-making. Issues that ought to be straightforward get vastly complicated simply because of these parochial elements that go into decision-making. Strip the discussion about Boko Haram's amnesty of all of these parochial considerations, and it would be a no-brainer. You don't offer amnesty in the circumstances in which we're offering it today. Finally, state police. It's also something that should have been straightforward. We need state police in a federal system. See you next time.